What if I told you it's no coincidence that this person you're still thinking about, the one who comes back to you without warning, might be thinking about you at the same time? What if behind this turmoil you feel in your heart, there was a silent answer, a divine word you haven't yet been able to decipher? You think it's over. You may have even sworn to yourself that you turned the page, but there's something, or rather someone, who hasn't allowed you to forget. It's not your imagination. It may be Allah speaking to you. Stay there, because what you're about to hear could well be the beginning of the return your heart secretly hopes for. You are not alone, and this return could have been written for much longer than you think. 1. The divine whisper in the silences. When Allah speaks to the heart, there are silences that speak louder than 1,000 words. Moments when everything seems calm around you, but your heart vibrates with an echo you can't ignore. You walk, you breathe, you live. But then a thought returns, gentle, constant, almost sacred. This person, this connection, this memory, and suddenly, without logical explanation, you feel a strange peace at the thought of this return. Not restlessness, not dependence. No, just peace. A sweetness placed in your heart like a veil no one else can see. And in that silence, it could be Allah speaking to you. You see, He doesn't need to shout at you. He doesn't need to shake you for you to understand. Sometimes He simply touches you, placing in your heart a sensation that nothing else can match, a clarity you haven't sought, a light you don't control. And if this light illuminates the path that leads you back to this person, then perhaps it's not a return to a human relationship, but a return to a divinely marked destiny. For Allah is Al-Latif, the subtle, the one who acts in the most invisible details, the one who can change a human being's heart without them understanding how, the one who can place a reminder in the soul of a servant simply to show them that what they thought was over wasn't in the heavenly register. Perhaps this bond isn't over, not because you want it to be, but because it's still alive in Allah's order. Perhaps this person too feels, without telling you, that same shiver in their heart, that same pang of longing, that same noble regret, that need to find what was lost, but to find it again differently, with awareness, with faith, with modesty, with meaning. We must learn to listen differently, to feel the messages that arrive neither by text message, nor by phone call, nor by human promises. We must listen to the soul, for that is where the truth whispers. That is where the answers fall, one by one, like silent dew on arid land. And when Allah truly wants to bring two people together, He begins by softening their hearts, not toward each other, but toward Himself. It is by returning to Him that the truth begins to reveal itself. For Allah is never absent from the stories He Himself has written. He is the witness, the sustainer, the master of time. And sometimes He allows time to erode what is false, only to then revive what is pure, at the exact moment when the soul is ready. So if your heart turns to this person, without bitterness, without pain, but with serenity, know that perhaps it is not a weakness. Perhaps it's an invitation, a door the world doesn't see, but your soul recognizes. And never forget, Allah only whispers when the heart is able to listen. 2. The test of separation, mercy in disguise. You've wondered why Allah separated you. You've prayed, cried, and reflected. And the more you wanted to understand, the more oppressive the silence seemed. But here's a truth you must face. Separation isn't always a punishment. Sometimes it's exactly the opposite. It's an act of divine mercy, a necessary break, so that the bond can be purified before being restored. You see, when Allah separates two people, it's never without reason. He knows what you don't know and what you're each experiencing. This distance, this emptiness, these self-questings, it's all part of a larger plan. It's not just about love or a relationship. It's about spiritual education. It's a test. It's about inner transformation. Allah wants to know, what do you do when what you love is taken from you? Do you lose your mind? Are you distancing yourself from Him, or are you returning to Him with more humility, more faith, more maturity? Because before giving you back a person, Allah wants to see what you do when you have nothing left. He wants to teach you that sincere attachment must first begin with Him. Separation reveals what closeness concealed. When things are going well, we delude ourselves. We think we're in control of the relationship. We forget our mistakes. We trivialize the blessings. But as soon as distance sets in, intentions are revealed. You see if your love was based on faith or on need. You see if you were ready to give, or if you only wanted to receive. And sometimes the person you love also needs this distance, because they too may have forgotten the value of your presence. They too had wounds, faults, and neglect to repair. Separation allows each person to face themselves without distraction, without masks, without illusions. So if today this person wishes to return, don't rush, but don't close the door without listening either. Ask yourself, who have I become during this separation? Have I grown? Am I more peaceful, closer to Allah, more lucid? And also ask yourself, who is this person today? Is their return a whim or a true inner awakening? For if Allah has separated you, it may be because He wanted to remake you, to reunite you in a more noble, more stable, more spiritual way. Many want to experience love. Very few want to take responsibility for it. But Allah does not give just anyone to just anyone. He grants to each person according to their level, their heart, their intention. He expects you to be ready to protect what you ask for, and you cannot protect a relationship without discipline, without faith, without clarity. You cannot receive a heart if yours is still dirty. That's why He separates. That's why He makes you wait, because He loves you, because He wants to prepare you, because He wants to see you come back together as better people. So the question is no longer, why did Allah separate us? The real question is, have we become worthy of being reunited by Him? 3. Returning is not by chance. It is divine guidance. Whatever returns to your life after being separated never returns by mistake. It is not a stroke of fate. It is not a simple impulse of the heart. When Allah allows a return, it is never without purpose. He does not play with souls. He does not make you relive a deep connection just to test you without any purpose. He builds, He prepares, He guides. You see, many think that reunions are only the result of nostalgia, but Allah is above emotion. He is Al-Hakim, the wise, and His wisdom does not open doors without first reforming what needed to be reformed. If this person returns today, it is not to fill an emotional void. Perhaps it is an answer to prayers you offered in tears. Perhaps it's the culmination of a long process where Allah transformed two hearts separately to better unite them. Perhaps it's a reminder that He never forgets those who trust in Him. But be careful, not all returns are a divine response. Some are merely illusions. This is why you must ask the right question. Does this return push me toward Allah or away from Him? If the person returns with humility, with a sincere desire to do things correctly, with purity, with halal, with a heart that apologizes and aligns with your path, then it's not simply a reconnection, it's guidance, a path that only Allah could write. And if your heart is at peace, if it doesn't tremble with doubt but vibrates with lucid hope, then you know it's not just a sentimental return, it's divine guidance, a compass that the Creator has placed in your heart. There are signs, not visible miracles, but inner connections, conversations that awaken the soul, simple but genuine gestures, silences that reassure, looks where you feel that everything you've asked of Allah is there in front of you in human form. Never underestimate the language of Allah. He does not speak only through words. He speaks through the peace you feel in that person's presence, by the ease with which things align, by the fact that your heart, instead of raging, calms down. If you were lost and their return brought you back to prayer, if you were in doubt and their voice rekindled confidence, if you had abandoned certain invocations and they now represent their living manifestation, then do not doubt. This is no coincidence. It is Allah who answers you. And even if fear invades you, even if your past screams at you to be careful, know one thing, Allah does not want to take you back. He wants to move you forward. But with the right tools, the right faces, the right hearts, there are people He took away from you for a time to better give them back to you with meaning. People He reformed far from you so that they could build you alongside you. Don't focus on, do I deserve this return? Instead, ask yourself the real question. Am I ready to welcome a return that comes from Allah and not from my ego? For when He returns one soul to another, it is not just to fill a void. It is to elevate two beings to Him. Not always a spectacular miracle. It's not a clear dream where everything is written in black and white. No, it's subtle, it's gentle, it's almost whispered. But if you learn to listen with your heart, to observe with your soul, you will see. You will understand. You will know. Start with the small changes. Have you noticed that your heart no longer struggles? That it no longer resists this presence, but opens up in peace? Have you noticed that this person doesn't return in confusion or haste, but with calm and clarity? And you, instead of doubting, you make dua, not out of fear, but with hope. Not on a whim, but with submission. These are signs. You think you're praying just in case, but sometimes your soul prays because it has already understood that this return is a direction. You think the discussion is simply mature, but sudden maturity is often the fruit of something Allah has done in the other person's heart far from you, in circumstances you yourself are unaware of. Allah confirms gently. He doesn't shout his answers. He slips them into details. You had stopped hoping, but this unexpected encounter happened. You had stopped imagining a future together, but now words are spoken with modesty and conviction. You were afraid of meeting that gaze again, but when it happened, your heart didn't tremble with pain. It calmed down. Do you really think these coincidences align themselves? Number. It's a divine signature. It's Allah who reconfigures plans, who moves people, who softens hearts, and who draws invisible lines to tell you, look, I am acting. There are also dreams. Not always clear, not always limpid, but they leave you with a taste, an impression, a feeling that remains. And when you talk about them, without even fully understanding them, the other person's words confirm them. And then there's this ease, not perfect, but real. It's not that everything has become easy. It's that the haram no longer attracts you, and the halal becomes your desire. When this person speaks of serious intentions, of construction, of patience, of commitment in the light of Allah, these are not just fine words. It is a reorientation, a desire to make it an ibadah, not a distraction. And this is the greatest sign. The return is spiritual before being emotional. It is not just a desire to be together. It is a desire to evolve together toward the one who separated you and who today brings you together. But you must remain awake. This path is delicate. False signals exist. Emotion can deceive. The shaitan can imitate nostalgia. This is why you must never seek human certainty. You must seek the inner peace that only Allah gives. And if this peace persists, despite the doubts, despite the stages, then you are receiving a silent confirmation. And Allah never lies in His promises. He doesn't place a pure feeling in your heart to crush it. He doesn't allow a sincere return to hurt you again. He rebuilds with meaning. He reunites with wisdom. He confirms with gentleness. Stay attentive, stay connected, stay in dua, because perhaps you are already in His answer. You are already in the plan. 5. The responsibility of restored love. So there you have it. This person is coming back. Maybe not shouting, maybe not with flowers, but they're coming back. You see it in their efforts, in the way they speak to you, in their desire to make amends, to pick up where everything left off. But the real question isn't, does he or she want to come back? No. The real question is, are you ready to take on this restoration? Because restored love isn't romantic. It's a spiritual responsibility. Allah has answered you. He has granted you a new opportunity, but this opportunity must not become a vicious cycle, where the same mistakes are simply put on hold before resurfacing. This return is a test, a call to maturity, a signal from Allah saying, now that I have answered your prayer, what do you do with my gift? You want it to be chosen, for people to come back to you, for people to see you with different eyes. It's done. Now prove that you're not the same person. You're not the same person anymore. You're not the same person. You're ready to build, not to relive the same scenes, the same arguments, the same heavy silences. Love in Islam is a contract. It's sacred. It's protected. It's meant to bring you closer to Allah, not to lose you in ego or illusions. So it's time to take action. 1. Lay the foundations. Have you talked about your relationship with Allah? Do you know how to pray together? Or at least pray for each other? A love cut off from the divine source quickly becomes a flash in the pan. Brilliant at first, but short-lived. If you want it to last, you must put Allah at the center, not as a backdrop, but as an active guide. 2. Clarify your intentions. No vagueness. No "we'll see." Ambiguity is not proof of love. It opens the door to doubt, to haram, to failure. If this return is serious, it must carry within it serious plans. Talk about the future. Talk about building. Talk about the halal, because that's what protects your bond. Otherwise, it's not a return. It's a toxic cycle. 3. Honor boundaries. Authentic love doesn't need to break boundaries to exist. It respects them. It understands that it is Allah who placed them. To preserve the blessing, words, gestures, promises, everything must align with modesty, with responsibility. And if you are the one who sets the example, Allah will bestow barakah on your behavior. 4. Face it. Don't run away. Past wounds won't magically disappear. They've left their mark, but they shouldn't rule your future. Speak, listen, ask for forgiveness, offer it, because sincere forgiveness is the key to reopen hearts. And Allah loves those who forgive, who repair, who build on what they have learned. 5. Act with gratitude. Do you realize that this return wasn't yours alone? It was Allah who opened the other's heart. It was He who aligned the circumstances. So show Him that you're aware of this gift. Pray, give thanks, and above all, act like someone who has received something precious, not like someone replaying an old story. Allah brings hearts closer, but it is hearts that must cultivate the bond. What you do from now on is your response to His mercy. You can remain passive and lose everything again, or you can become active and honor the return Allah has made possible. Don't be lukewarm. Don't be distracted. Be present. Be aligned. Be aware. Allah has heard you. He has spoken to you. Now it's up to you to speak with your actions. If this message resonated with you, it's no accident. Allah uses reminders, emotions, signs, and sometimes even a simple video to touch a heart ready to listen. This return you feel, this person who wants to come back, it's not just a love story. It may be a divine response, a reminder that what Allah unites, even time and distance cannot erase. But remember, Allah brings together, but it's up to you to maintain. It's up to you to rebuild with faith, with wisdom, with sincerity. Share this message if you think someone else needs it. Save it to return to in moments of doubt. Comment if you too feel that it's not over, because perhaps this is only the beginning.